Call 312-6-million. Injury law made personal? That's Hankin Law.
Joining us is one of our best friends of the show. You can hear her on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast and also the Pitch and Moan podcast. White Sox listeners, you should already be following her, not only for her hot takes about the Denver Broncos, but her excellent baseball takes as well on the Chicago White Sox and the many interviews that she will have with White Sox personnel throughout the season. It's Courtney Finnicum. Hello, Courtney. Happy opening day.
Happy official opening day. I am so happy to be back on the show with you, Josh, as I always am. But to do it on opening day feels a little bit more special, right? I feel like that.
Yes. Now, with this 2026 season, I feel like everyone's being more positive and upbeat about the White Sox. What's the most interesting thing about the 2026 White Sox to you, Courtney?
To me, I feel like obviously we've heard so much about this young core and the potential of this young core. To me now, this is the year where they finally officially take a step forward and show us that, okay, we are now here to compete. This is the core that is going to compete in the next 5 years in the AL Central and in the playoffs, hopefully. So to me, the most interesting storyline going into 2026 is, can we take the potential of what we currently have and take the proper steps forward into competing? To me, that's the number one thing that I'm going to be paying attention to this season. And that's just, and not in the same level as what we have currently at this roster, but obviously in the minors, is Brandon Montgomery going to be coming up? Is Noah Schultz finally going to be coming up this season? Hagen Smith. I mean, there's a lot of guys kind of on the cusp of being close to the major league ready level. So kind of the process of taking that next step and showing us how they're going to start competing.
So looking at the preseason, when we talk about the White Sox at the end of the season, who do you think will be the player of the year, either on the position side or pitcher?
Obviously, I think one of the biggest, obvious choices is Colson Montgomery, right? He has the most upside. He plays shortstop, showed some flashes of a really good glove last season. Obviously, my concern is always the K rate. He tends to strike out a little bit, but I'll be curious how he looks through 162 games, or a little bit less than that, whatever it looks like for him. Obviously, the biggest upside too, besides that, is the Murakami wild card. I think he has potential to lead the team in not just most home runs, but RBIs as well. So I think those two guys are interesting to me for obvious reasons. But another wild card I'm going to throw out there, just because might as well get fancy with you on this opening day morning. I'm going to throw out the name Edgar Carroll here. And
okay.
Yes, I am, because he had a great spring. And when we were in Orlando, there was a lot of rumblings in the winter meetings about him being traded. I was told that from two very strong sources that he was going to be moved this offseason. He hasn't yet, which I think is actually to the Sox benefit at this point. But I think his strong spring is going to bleed into the regular season. And he's someone that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to, and I think can make a really big, giant step forward for this team.
So looking at the American League Central, we are expecting a race between Detroit and Kansas City to win the division. Cleveland always surprises us as well. Where do you see the White Sox finishing within the division in 2026?
I have been very strong about this, and I'm going to continue to be strong about this. I don't see this team finishing last. I really, really don't. Unless I really am just overlooking what I think the talent is on this team. I don't think I am. I think that they are a better team than the Minnesota Twins on paper as of right now. So I see them finishing fourth, and I do see the Twins finishing last. The Twins have already had a rash of injuries. Pablo getting, Tommy John, and there's always the wild card of Byron Buxton being hurt. I mean, he's a great player when he's healthy, but man, he just can't stay healthy. So I feel like the Sox are finally going to get out of the AL Central cellar there and move into fourth place for the season.
And then finally, Courtney Finnicum, how many wins will the 2026 Chicago White Sox have?
I feel pretty comfortable saying that they're going to sit about 72 wins this year.
Okay.
And I mean, again, when you say that out loud, it's like, oh my God, that sounds terrible, right? 72 wins, that's still a terrible season. But that will do a couple things for me. That will show that this team is taking the proper steps forward into competing. And I've always said it, I've said it since September of last year. Like, I really want to see this team do what the Miami Marlins did last season. And as we know, like if the Marlins won a couple more series, they would have been right in the middle of that third wild card spot. So they showed that they were taking the next step in their rebuild. That's kind of what I need the Sox to do. And I think 72 wins would be comfortable for them.
And that would be another big boost in win total for the Chicago White Sox. Again, you can listen to Courtney and also watch her on the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast and the Pitch and Moan podcast. Again, happy opening day, Courtney, and thank you so much for joining the Sox Machine podcast.
Looking forward to seeing you guys throughout the season.
Thanks for watching the latest Sox Machine video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Sox Machine. And if you ever need something to listen to, subscribe to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify and Apple Music.